MacVoices is brought to you by Squarespace. Everything you need to create an exceptional website. For a free trial and 10% off your first purchase, visit squarespace.com and use the offer code MacVoices6. Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices at AltWWDC in San Francisco. This time I have Kyle of Monocle Society to talk about his app and his philosophy behind apps and his history with apps and a little bit of everything. Kyle, it's great to see you.
Great to see you. Absolutely.
So first of all, you're volunteering here at AltWWDC to, I guess, help everything work.
Yeah, so I actually did a program similar to AltWWDC last year called Indie Dev Labs. And we were kind of working with Alt at that point. This year, we decided that we might just want to take all the independent developer labs and, Alt events, basically, and just bring them under one house. So more than happy to do that, and it's a fantastic experience so far.
And it's been a fantastic event. It's hard to believe, you get this many people showing up at early in the morning, late at night, whenever, to hang around and answer each other's questions and discuss things.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the great thing about the community here, is by its nature, we're kind of happy people. Really, when you think about it, right? Like, we build really good customer experiences. That's what the Mac community, that's what the iPhone and iPad community, it's what we're known for. So if we were all grumpy individuals making great user experiences, that would be like David Lynch in weirdness, right?
Okay, I wouldn't have come up with that particular analogy.
Well,
That's good. That's good. First of all, let's talk about your history with iOS apps. You have a number of things under your belt that are kind of impressive.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so I've been doing iOS development since the beginning, and that's kind of the common phrase to hear. All in all, I've worked on about 10 featured titles. Some of the more notable ones include Tap Tap Revenge, which was very big in the beginning. So, now it's not as big now. It's totally fine. Hey, it makes me feel old. 5 years later, and wait, what did you do? I don't know. Right. So I did that. Then I worked on my on an interactive children's book with a couple friends called Bartleby's Book of Buttons, and that became an iOS 5 launch title, iPhone app of the week, iPad app of the week, and ultimately my second app into the Hall of Fame.
And we're about to talk about your new app, which is a productivity app.
Yes.
So I find it very interesting that you have your feet in a whole lot of different areas. It's not just one productivity app or gaming app or whatever. You've kind of spread yourself around.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think the attitude that developers should have, if you call yourself an app developer, that's a very generalized term. And be prepared at that point, to be generalized. And that's not a negative connotation whatsoever. I think that the more that you work on different types of categories, the more you pick up, not just iOS as a whole, but just how people expect the user experience of multi-touch applications to work. And you'll see a lot of that carrying over. A great example is I just released a productivity app. And before that, I was very much into children's interactive books, right? So I took some of the interactive features, that mindset, and I applied it to a productivity app. And, that has gotten a pretty good response from that, to not have the grumpy productivity app, the app that, is the happy-go-lucky one, the one that, waves hi to you when you open it.
All right, so your current productivity app, and the one we're talking about, is called Eggscellent.
Yes.
Spell that just so they can find it in the App Store.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Eggscellent, Eggscellent.
Okay, so obviously it's a takeoff on excellent, but it's Eggscellent. And it has an egg theme?
It does, absolutely. So it's a time management application. Basically, there are a lot of people that have task management applications out there. The idea I wanted was I love a lot of different time management apps, ways to help take a task, break it down into chunks of time, and have you work on it. Very much so, like the famous Pomodoro technique. With Eggscellent, what I wanted to do is take all the tasks that you have in your favorite task managers, like Things, OmniFocus, or even Mac OS X reminders, and I wanted to be able to present those into a list of exactly what you're doing for that day. So that way you can look at the list of what you're doing, size them up as you need to. I think this task is going to take 2 hours, or this one's going to take a half an hour, right? And help you start working on them, right? Help you say, okay, take 25 minutes, just focus on this and get it done. It's a technique that I've used in development. Very, very, very useful, especially when you have a lot of emails coming through. And at first, it was an app that I wrote for myself just for fun. When I realized that it was actually pretty useful and that I could probably do something, I could probably get away with making it adorable looking, right? I figured, what's the worst that could happen? So I totally did that. I had Henrik van Ryzen, one of probably the illustrator, I should say, for Bartleby's Book of Buttons. He came down and he designed the egg, and it's very good animation, very high quality. And Brian Bell of Tapulous fame, the guy who designed the Tapulous icon, he actually helped design the UI as well for this. So, yeah.
I want to go try it out just because it sounds different. It doesn't sound like your typical productivity app, and that has a lot of appeal. After a while, how many time management apps can you look at?
Oh, absolutely. Time management and task management, don't get me wrong. Yay productivity, right? But I think for me, the productivity apps, if you're going to deal with an application your entire day, and it has to be something very serious and oriented, I understand that. At the same time, I don't think I could. I think I'm more effective when I'm a lot less stressed about something. When I have an app that's in front of me right now, like a productivity app, that kind of has a very serious tone, and like if you could give the app a face, it would have that grumpy face, right? Like if that's the app I have to deal with, hey, cool, it's a very effective app. But I want the app that basically has the dog's head stuck out the car door window, right? Because it's as effective and it's happy. So it's worth a shot.
Absolutely. Okay, so two things. First off, what was your favorite announcement from the keynote? Which one had the most effect on you?
Wow. So that's interesting. I've thought a lot about iOS 7, and I think obviously that's going to be the more forefront of it. The thing that I'm actually more entertained by is a couple of nerdier things, which was really surrounded around Apple TV and the multi-screen environment, because iOS 7 is going to do a better job, and OS 10 is going to do a better job. What I like about the Apple TV is it's this really kick-ass piece of technology that no one really talks about, but almost everyone I know has an Apple TV just kicking around. And what's really great about it is that if you look at the direction of how this is going to be changing, this Apple TV changes how apps are going to work in general for OS 10. It's going to change how games are made, and it has been changing how games are made for the iPhone and the iPad. And I see this as a technology that every time Apple expands on it, every time Apple leans a little bit more on the Apple TV, it just makes me that much happier, because I really, really want to see this technology blossom.
So you think it will blossom at some point, just not quite yet?
I think that there's going to be a breaking point, and that will happen soon.
The other thing is that rumor has it that you may be the most downloaded face in the App Store. Is this true?
Okay, so this can't be confirmed nor denied. So the idea is that back in the days of Tap Tap Revenge, we were working on the sequel for the user interface for the sequel. And this code base would later become used by all the other sequels, right? So all the spin-offs and all the Tap Tap Revenge 3 and the like. So when we were creating this user interface, I had to have a placeholder for album art. So like a dork, I just kind of took a photo of myself, right? And I just put it in there temporarily. Well, we were just in such a rush, to focus on the quality of the application and make sure we get it out on time. I kind of forgot to take the photo out, and then we just kept reusing the code base. And it wasn't until months and months and months later that we noticed that, oh, hey, we need to, trim the size of the app down. Oh, hello, what's this? And then, and by that time, there was already a statistic that came out that said that Tap Tap Revenge was on 1 out of every 3 iOS devices, which at that point meant that I was on 1 out of every 3 iOS devices. So in theory, I'm one of the most downloaded faces on the App Store.
I don't know how to follow that, so I'm just going to let it alone.
I have no idea how to follow that. It's mind-bogglingly creepy when someone's like, "Oh, I totally played that game," and all I can think of was like, my face was totally in your phone.
Kyle, thank you so much. Of course, the Eggscellent is in the App Store.
Yes.
Just go and search for it, and Monocle Society. And thanks so much for the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Folks, more from AltWWDC in San Francisco. I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. Visit MacVoices.com for links, show notes, to subscribe, to connect with Chuck on Twitter, app.net, Google+, Facebook, and for more Apple, Mac, and tech-related shows, including MacVoices, Mac Notables, the Mac Jury, and the MacVoices Briefing. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com.